The Roman Empire is on its knees, bleeding from 1,000 cuts. For 50 years, a relentless storm of chaos has torn it apart. Emperors are murdered as fast as they are crowned. Barbarians pour across the borders, armies mutiny, and the economy has utterly collapsed. This isn't just a crisis, it's the death spiral of the greatest empire the world has ever known. They call it the crisis of the 3rd century, and Rome has one last, desperate hope. His name is Diocletian. He wasn't born to nobility. He was a soldier, a man forged in the brutal crucible of the Roman military, rising through the ranks by sheer grit, discipline, and an unbreakable will. When the emperor is struck down, the army, desperate for a leader who can actually lead, looks to him. In a dramatic moment before the legions, he swears he is innocent of the emperor's death, then points his sword at the suspected assassin and in one swift motion executes him on the spot. In that single, ruthless act, Diocletian declares to the world, "The age of weakness is over. A new era has begun. The empire he inherits is a shattered mosaic. From Britain to Syria, it's too vast, too broken for one man to govern. Previous emperors tried and failed, their bodies piling up as proof. But Diocletian isn't like them. He possesses a radical, brilliant vision. He knows he can't be everywhere at once, so he decides to split the ultimate power. He creates a system the world has never seen before. The Tetrarchy, the rule of 4. He appoints an old army comrade, Maximian, as his co-emperor, and Augustus just like himself. They become brothers in power. Diocletian takes the east, the strategic and wealthy heart of the empire. Maximian takes the west, facing the constant threat of Germanic tribes along the Rhine. But he doesn't stop there. He then appoints 2 junior emperors, Caesars, one for each Augustus. These aren't just deputies. They are designated successors, eliminating the bloody free-for-all that followed nearly every emperor's death. It's a machine built for stability, a 4-headed eagle ready to defend the empire from all sides simultaneously. The system is designed to stop civil war before it can even begin. With the leadership problem solved, Diocletian unleashes his iron will on the military. For decades, the legions were kingmakers, driven by greed and personal ambition. Diocletian shatters their power. He increases the size of the army dramatically, but he also breaks up the old, oversized legions into smaller, more mobile units. No single general can now command enough troops to march on Rome and seize power. He strengthens the frontiers, building a network of forts and watchtowers, a defensive web designed to bleed any invading force dry. For the first time in a generation, the borders are secure. The endless tide of invasions begins to recede. But military victory is meaningless if the empire starves. The economy is in ruins, rampant inflation has made the currency worthless. A soldier's pay can barely buy a loaf of bread. Diocletian responds with a sledgehammer. He overhauls the entire tax system, basing it not on worthless coins, but on goods and land. It's harsh, it's rigid, but it works. The state finally has a predictable income. He then issues the edict on maximum prices, a controversial decree fixing the price for everything from eggs to elephant tusks across the entire empire. While it was difficult to enforce and ultimately failed, it was a breathtaking attempt to wrestle the economic monster into submission. Slowly, painstakingly, the empire's heart begins to beat again. Diocletian isn't just fixing the empire, he's remaking it in his own image. The old pretense of the emperor being the first citizen among equals is dead. Diocletian casts it aside like a worn-out toga. He declares himself Dominus et Deus, Lord and God. He adopts the elaborate ceremonies of an Eastern monarch. No one simply walks up to him anymore. They must prostrate themselves, performing the proskinesis, kissing the hem of his purple robes. He is no longer a man. He is a divine presence, a living deity whose authority is absolute and unquestionable. This isn't just vanity. It's a calculated political move to elevate the emperor beyond the reach of assassins and usurpers. To strike at the emperor is now to commit sacrilege. And the threats keep coming. In Egypt, a rebellion erupts. Diocletian doesn't send a general, he goes himself. He besieges Alexandria with overwhelming force, and when the city falls, his retribution is swift and total. He makes an example of them, ensuring Egypt will never defy Rome again. On the Eastern Front, the Persian Sassanid Empire, Rome's eternal rival, launches a massive invasion. Initially, his Caesar Galerius suffers a humiliating defeat. But Diocletian doesn't sack him, he reinforces him. On the second attempt, Galerius achieves one of the most stunning victories in Roman history, capturing the Persian capital and even the Shah's own family. The peace treaty that follows secures Rome's eastern border for a generation. Diocletian has done the impossible. He has restored order. After 20 years of relentless work, of saving a world on the brink, Diocletian begins to think of the unthinkable: retirement. No emperor before him had ever willingly given up power and lived to tell the tale. They either ruled for life or died a violent death. But Diocletian is different. He prepares for his exit with the same meticulous planning he used to save the empire. On the shores of the Adriatic, in his homeland of Dalmatia, he constructs not just a palace, but a fortress city. A monumental structure of granite and marble, with walls 10 feet thick, designed to be his final, impregnable sanctuary. Diocletian's palace is a statement. This is where a god-emperor comes to rest. Then, on May 1st, 305 AD, in a stunning ceremony, Diocletian does what no one thought possible. He voluntarily abdicates the throne. On the same day, miles away in Milan, his co-emperor Maximian reluctantly does the same. The two Caesars, Galerius and Constantius, are elevated to Augusti, and two new Caesars are appointed. The machine, the Tetrarchy, is working exactly as designed. The transfer of power is peaceful, seamless. Diocletian turns his back on supreme authority and retires to his palace to grow cabbages. When his old colleague Maximian begs him to return to power and fix the new conflicts that inevitably arise, Diocletian's reply is legendary. If you could see the cabbages I am growing with my own hands, you would not ask me to abandon this happiness for the pursuit of power. He had saved the world, and now he was done with it. He was the only Roman emperor to die peacefully in his own bed after retiring. But the system he built, his masterwork, the Tetrarchy, barely outlived him. Without his towering presence and iron will to hold it together, the ambitions of the four rulers quickly tore it apart, plunging the empire back into a brutal civil war. Yet Diocletian's legacy is undeniable. He was the great divider. He split the empire, he split the legions, he split imperial power itself. His reign marks a clear line in the sand. The old Rome, the Rome of the Republic and the Principate, died in the fires of the 3rd century. The new Rome that emerged from the ashes, more autocratic, more bureaucratic, more militarized, was the Rome that Diocletian built. He was the bridge between the classical world and the medieval one. He was the man who found the empire on the verge of extinction and, through sheer force of will, gave it another 200 years of life in the West and another 1,000 in the East. He was not just an emperor, he was the refounder of the Roman world. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of one of history's most formidable rulers, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of the figures who shaped our world. We'll see you in the next one.